Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask the Prof. It is race week. We have Challenge Miami this week. For many of you age groupers out there, the race is Sunday. There's a sprint on Saturday and the pro race for me is on Friday afternoon. So I'm really excited about that. So the emphasis, obviously, if you watched the video last week, on using the bike to set up the run. And then today I want to talk about just really focusing on executing the best run possible. Obviously, that's where my head has been the last couple of days as I slide in to race week. So if you haven't already watched the video that I put out last week on using the bike to set you up for a strong run, you should be able to find that link here in the top left corner. And really, a lot of the concepts that we talked about last week in that video are going to carry over into the prepping for your run or unleashing the best run possible on race day. All right, the biking within yourself obviously helps set up the run. That's extremely important. Preparing for the demands of the course, we talked about that last week on the bike, but you also have to do that for a run, right? So obviously this is going to be a more flow type of run rather than a strength type of run. It's flat in Challenge Miami. It's flat. It's on a track. So I've been doing a lot of treadmill runs, a lot of long, flat, steady runs at race pace, right? Whereas when I start prepping for for Ironman St. George in May, I'll be doing a lot more hill-based training and a lot more of changing in pace because that's what's going to be demanded of me in that course. The demands of the course are also focusing on the weather, right? The heat prep is an important, it's an important component of this. You don't necessarily have to do it while you're working out. You can do it with a sauna or a steam room after the fact. Obviously, that's really hard for a lot of people right now with all the saunas and the steam rooms and the gyms being closed. So being able to do that during a workout is somewhat important as well. I've done a number of videos on this in the past, so check those out if you have any questions or want some tips about how to prepare for your next hot race or how to cool yourself down, a few different ideas to cool yourself down during the race itself. Race day nutrition is absolutely essential. It is, they call it the fourth component of the triathlon race, and I have to agree, right? It is very, very important to have a strong nutrition plan, both on the bike and on the run. Remember, on the bike, you're not just fueling yourself to get through the bike, you are fueling yourself to get through the run as well. A former coach of mine used to use the phrase feed your speed on the bike. So use the bike to feed your speed on the run. Use your long runs to really push the limits in how much fluids you can take in, how many calories you are able to take in, and not have any GI issues, right? It's hard to have a really fast run if you spend the entire time in those stinky porta-johns at the aid stations. So you need to train the gut, but also have an idea of how much you can take in and how much you can handle. And you do that during your long runs. I'd much rather have a long run go very, very poorly or something go bad during a long run than have something go bad on race day. So I'm using the long runs to experiment and to push the limits for what I can take in. Remember that long course racing is essentially managed bankruptcy. There's a very good chance that you are going to run out of calories or you're going to really hit the wall, and you want to do that either right after you cross the finish line or as close to that finish line as possible. And so setting yourself up with early in this race, especially by going through the aid stations, getting what you need, getting the calories that you need, getting the fluids that you need is going to really help the back half of the run. Speaking of aid stations, it is really important to use them not just for calories, but also on a hot day to cool yourself down. Most aid stations start and end with water. And there's also ice at some point in there. So typically I'm going to start by pouring water on myself, getting calories and fluids down myself. And then the last one, I'll grab a few cups as I go out of the aid station as well for more water to pour on myself and or to drink. Okay, so that's something that you can practice, you can set up. Every race is going to be about the same. Every Ironman branded race has the same order. It usually starts and ends with water, with cola and Gatorade and gels and everything else in the middle. So it's okay to try to set that up or to practice that. If your strategy is to walk through, that's fine as well, right? Some of the fastest Ironman athletes in the world are walking through aid stations, even at Kona, and still running pretty darn good run splits. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So it's figuring out what strategy is going to work best for you. And finally, and this is something that I think we're starting to lose more and more as we get more and more technology and our metrics and our ability to measure things get more and more advanced. I think we're losing the ability to listen to our body. We're losing the art of listening. So I personally will use the metrics on almost all of my bike sessions and really only have very strict metrics on my run sessions for maybe 2 out of the 5 workouts a week. So I'll have 2 out of 5 workouts where are very specific paces. The other ones, even if they're quality runs, are going to be more RPE based. So it might be hard or at Ironman race pace or 70.3 feel or 10K feel or 10K effort level or something like that. I think that's a really important and valuable tool. And it's really hard for us type A triathletes to accept that as being really important. I often give workouts to the athletes that I coach that are similar to that. And quite often it's, well, what pace should this be? And give me an exact pace that I should target for. And my response is always the same. And it's a learning process, right? Being able to listen to your body is the key to a breakout performance. There's been many races where if I would have gone off the training that I had leading into the race, it would have said I should run at, say 6:30 per mile or 5:30 per mile for a 70.3 or something like that. If I would have listened to that and gone strictly off of those paces, then I would have left a lot on the table. Thankfully, I've had coaches that have taught me the art of listening to my body and what it's saying and learning to adjust, whether it's either going faster or a little bit slower to try to get to the finish line as fast as possible on that day. That's something that you have to train yourself to do, and you have to do it repeatedly in training. I'm not saying throw all of the metrics and these fancy watches and the run power meters and all that stuff out. Use that. They're still a very valuable tool, but I think a lot of us are starting to use those as a crutch. I'll leave you with this saying: bike with your head, run with your heart. Use the bike, as I talked about in the last video. Use those metrics, use all those things to help you set up a great run. When you're racing, if you've learned to listen to your body, you can have the watch, use that early on in the race to make sure that you're not going out too hard, you're not too excited, you're not too amped up. But when it comes down to it, especially in the last 5-10K of the race, don't be staring at your watch and stressing. Just go out and give it what you have. Thanks for joining me for another video here. I have another product review coming up here in the next couple days that I'll be pushing out, as well as a day in the life video that I've been working on putting together for you all so you can see one of my training days. And then, of course, I'll have a quick video recap from Challenge Miami here by the end of the week as well. If you like what you're seeing, make sure you hit the subscribe button, give me a like. That helps everybody else see the videos as well. If there's anything else that you want to cover, make sure you leave it in the comments section below. Until next time.